think enlistment in the military is going to go
Hello,
up?
boys and girls.
Hi.
What a wonderful day it is today in our money-based economy.
Me too.
Well, sit back and relax and get ready for the guy who's about to ruin everything.
I'm puzzled. Are you really seriously suggesting that Jesus Christ was a mushroom?
Yes.
Jesus
reveal
was a
every
mushroom
move they
Robert.
made.
Yes. You are dealing with a secret cult, a secret society.
Not enough for saying more hospital shit, less bomb shit. Welcome to the Waning Interest Podcast, hour number 68, Saturday, April 4th, 2020. No left, no right. It's a WWE show. Inexpensive suits instead of expensive leotards. I don't remember ever hearing anybody else say it that way. So, there. Tonight's hour is brought to you by not only Kimura coffee liqueur / chocolate milk, but I think it's Kuzman. I ran out of the Kimura, so I had to move to coconut rum and milk. You don't want to mix mixers. It's like crossing streams. It's not good. Something about the time-space continuum, or, yeah, we'll leave it at that. I wasn't a Ghostbusters fan. Nor am I a fan of crossing my P-stream. It's like a eclectic version of swordplay, right? Kinda? I don't know. Me either. How are you? Have you chuckled in this first 2 minutes and 17? I'm sorry. Have you chuckled in this first 2 minutes and 25 seconds? I hope so. That's what it's for. If you're listening to this in the now, in the reality of the now, then you should be self-quarantining and all that. But you could be on a train or a bus or in a tractor trailer or at Amazon with your pods in your ears looking for something new. And maybe we're delivering. And there's only 56 more minutes left. We're going to get there, I swear. This podcast, I swear, this podcast is a gem, but people will only be able to see that after I'm dead. That's my dream. That is the dream. Because obviously, like Elvis and a bunch of others before, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, you know, and they used to say that the rock star makes more money when they're dead. You're not a rock star. I know. Do you? No, I think there's still a chance at 48. Especially during a pandemic. I just gotta find the band, man. We just gotta... I just want a cover band. I'd like to do a junkyard tribute band. But it's kind of tough. It's cool in a way that a lot of people don't know them. So that makes them brand new if they do decide to check them out. If they got any balls. A lot of people don't have any balls. They'll just go, blow you off. And then sometime later, then they will end up coming across it, and they'll go, man, there was that one guy that said I should listen to this a long time ago, and I didn't listen. I'm a dick. Yeah, you are. Can't tell you how many times that's happened. Moving on. I tell you, this is the smallest click on the internet. If you're new, now you know why. If you're a whip, part of the Waning Interest Podcast pack, well, you obviously know why, too. We are the pinball brain in your favorite machine. Is that a mouse? It's normally I do a Friday, and it's Patreon only, but I decided to record today instead because it's like I had other things to do. And this will be Patreon only, but it'll be unlocked for everyone to hate. Because that's the way I like it. It feels good in a weird way. Sometimes it gives you constipation. But, hey, maybe that's it. Maybe that's where that funny little tickle comes from before it turns into raging pain. It's gotta be it. You gotta have the good before you have the bad. Or, wait, I thought it was the bad before the good. Right? Yeah, no, the calmness before the storm. Right? See? We found another one. I don't know what we found, but we found it. I always did feel like Mikey from the Goonies. Still can't not. I'm just missing the jean jacket. Really. With this goddamn belly that I've put on, I can do the truffle shuffle now. And I am a lot like Mouth. But not as loud. See how I'm a little more contained? Because, well, you have a microphone in front of your face. There's no need to yell. I don't like overmodulation. Overmodulation. Hey, if I had a punk band, that'd be a great song, right? Right? Try to remember that for me, or go ahead and write a tune. Overmodulation. I'm not Jack Black. I can't do that shit. Anyway, towards the end of the hour, will do. I'm not going to have a VO story unless something just pops into my head. Normally Fridays, kind of doing this like a Friday, Saturday. But without the VO story. Unless, like I said, I go, I just remembered something. But there will be an album of the week as usual, as for normal Friday, even though there wasn't on the last Friday one either, because, yeah, whatever. And psychedelic movie / series day. It seems like every hour I mention something, like E.T., being an allegory for DMT and mushrooms, that movie. I'm telling you, man, I feel like I'm the only one fucking saying it, even though I've had nobody, when I put the video up originally, nobody has said any shit about it, but the only things that I've heard are I enjoyed that. It's always been good, even though it's not great, but I mean I've never gotten bashed for it. I'm either laughed out of the room without any bashing at all, just or they look at it and go, huh, makes sense the way you say it. And it would make even more sense to them, if they're people that actually have studied DMT and mushrooms a lot. And I'm a fucking Padawan, but I'm a professor compared to most. I ain't no Paul Stamets, but I'm Robin. Joe Cruz, you heard him on the open. You'll hear him at the end. You hear him on the promos. CruzVO.com. The email, waninginterestpodcast@gmail.com. You are here on the Patreon page. Anybody can listen to this, but if you aren't a whip, consider being a whip. Part of the Waning Interest Podcast Pack. Power. Peebles power. And thank you to my Peebles. My Peebles. My Peebles. My Peebles don't have to put up with no ads because they know that even without being a Peeble, that on the Apple podcasts and Stitcher and all those other places, if you do hear ads, it ain't got nothing to do with me. It's them motherfuckers putting that shit on there, and they shouldn't be, but that's what they do anyway. Twitter interest waning with a Y, but you know that because you're sitting right there looking at it. Or, well, you could be blind and not be able to see it, but I would think that if you're blind, then you would have the speech thing, so it would probably spell it for you, I would guess, in 2020, that programming, those should be pretty well updated, and they were pretty good back in the day with Mr. Bohan. Michael Bohan would be... I would type shit on his computer just so it would say it. And I know I'd write all kinds of dirty shit. Mr. Bohan. 10 years. Holy shit. Cheers. Yeah, buddy. Oh, seeing how I'm talking about the Twitter. Let's go through my tweets from today. Some good ones, I think. I woke up with a little bit of hair across my ass. Someone needs a trim. All right. What do we got? Done some retweeting as well. Let's see. I retweeted Caitlin Johnstone, Bill Burr with the They're Still Alive, Comedy Gives Back, the Laugh Aid thing. I tweeted to Shane Moss, comedian, who, does a good trip. His tour talks a lot about psychedelics, and I've talked to him before, but I don't remember. I know he liked the Nate the Bullet E.T. allegory for mushrooms and DMT thing that I posted a long time ago. But he didn't answer today, where I just had to ask him, serious question, Shane, do you think Thor is an allegory for a DMT trip? Kind of like E.T. is for mushrooms and DMT. We've both been in the ward for similar reasons, so hope it's a yes. P.S. I was in the same one as Lois Lane, so it's all about superheroes. Maybe. But yeah, to me, man, Thor... the shit, Asgard, the fucking rainbow shoot into the sky to another world, into space, and, Mjolnir is the pipe you take those 3 big hits of DMT and blast off for 6 minutes, or 7 or 8, or right around there. I don't know why he didn't answer. Kind of makes me sad, man. I don't like being ignored. But I'm used to it. Did I tell you we're the smallest click on the internet? See? Got it right again. And then I shared Doug Stanhope's newest podcast, number 363, 30-Day News Blackout, because I thought that everyone should hear what Greg Shaley has to say. Starting around the 34-minute mark for the next few minutes. It's pretty good about leisure time. And it's great shit, I tell ya. Oh, the AP put out this This one story, breaking. President Trump has fired Michael Atkinson, the intelligence watchdog who handled the complaint that triggered his impeachment. So I retweeted it with a comment. Breaking. Another subplot to the shit show put on by both colors. Sources close to the action say you have to burn down the stage to end this long-in-the-tooth, terrible soap opera. The writers are awful and are paid far too much. Hashtag they all suck. Hashtag time for a new show. I mean system. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Let's see. So far, let's see. Good amount of people have seen it, but no so much, not a bunch of action just yet. Oh, and then because Stanhope is doing a 30-day blackout from Twitter and all that stuff, I put, wait, if Doug Stanhope is going to be off Twitter for 30 days, this is obviously a lane left open for me to gain about 5 more followers. Hashtag Quarandemic winning. And then I wrote, yeah, I wish he was back already as well. With the emojis for martini, a mushy, a circus tent for the funhouse, and a heart for love, 'cause I loves me some Stanhope. And then, right before that, I retweeted Coco Diaz talking about Bill Hicks' set on the Dangerfield special. Watch this set. It makes me want to go out and stab 3 motherfuckers and a midget. And in parentheses, note, he followed Dice. Rodney Dangerfield welcomes Bill Hicks to the stage. Oh, God. So good. Oh, and yeah. Every move they make, they rip you off. Oh, and Greg Fitzsimmons was on Rogan this week. And right off the bat, they were talking about somehow they got on to jerking off while sitting on the toilet and having to point it down and blah, blah, blah. And I tweeted to them, hey, I always point down when shooting. True. Because it feels better. Much better. But not on the toilet. And add squatting, and you're really doing it right. Cheers. Hashtag there will be a national rub one out day from this. Hashtag I hope. Oh, so funny. Oh, and Fitzsimmons, he liked it. Oh, and then because of this fucking bailout shit, I mean, it's just like 2008, but worse. So I had to tweet to, I decided to tweet to Adam McKay, who wrote and directed The Big Short. With Christian Bale, everybody was in that goddamn movie. Ryan Gosling, Steve Carell. It was so crazy with that many people were in that movie. Which ended, of course, with him showing that, hey, after all this, you know what? They started it all over again with something like Rocket Mortgage. About the whole crashing of everything in '08. And true story, the second time I saw that movie at a screening, and I went because it was free for SAG-AFTRA members. And I was actually with a date. She was pretty cute, too. Whatever. This was our last date. Walk out of the theater. First fucking thing I see while we're standing there on the street, a bus pulls right up. And it's got a Rocket Mortgage billboard right on the side. And that was how many years ago? So I had a tweet to Adam McKay. I said, hey, Ghost Panther. That's what he is on Twitter. Some of us are guessing you're in the middle of writing the sequel to The Big Short and waiting for the end so you can finish. Us too. Hashtag but go ahead and make it your own and have the mountain take out the scammers. Hashtag thanks. Hashtag GOT. Hashtag COVID-19. Hashtag Wednesday Wisdom. I really thought that was going to get some attention. But we're staying consistent. That's right. Consistent. We're like Adrian Gonzalez. Right there. 300 all the way. Not quite Tony Gwynn. Why did I say Adrian Gonzalez? What the fuck? I did enjoy watching him swing the bat. He had a sweet swing. But fuck the Dodgers. Sorry, Mike. Anyway, fuck Major League Baseball. I'm done with all of them. I am boycotting all of it. I said at the end after the Super Bowl, that's it. I was already boycotting the NBA. I'd already said that this was going to be my last season, Major League Baseball. And then the Houston Astros shit came out, and I went, nope, that fucking sealed that coffin. Thank you. In the NFL, I was done a long time ago, but I'm really done now. And what's kind of sucky about that is I'm in fucking Gator country, and this state just got Tom Brady. But who gives a shit? I'll obviously be able to see shit online or whatever, but I don't want to give them. And I can't stand. I truly cannot stand fucking commercials. I cannot stand being in the room when the ladies are watching TV, unless it's on something that's not network, which is kind of rare. Like the commercials are just, it's a constant thing, and they're just over and over, and they don't understand how much it really fucks with your head. And I can't even bother trying to explain it to them. You can see how that probably would go. What? Shut the fuck up. Even though they were the ones saying it to us when we were kids. Whatever, I'll let it go. But the commercials are, I just can't. I can't fucking take it anymore. I can't take it. And I like watching Jeopardy with them. And sometimes Wheel of Fortune. They're still fun. But I almost every time I have to make some kind of joke about, really? Still this amount of money? You should be making a lot more. We got all these big shows where you make a lot more for doing a lot less. I mean, just, it's already kind of difficult at home, but maybe you're somebody who's been there on the stage trying to do it, which makes it much, the stress level goes shooting up. That's why I should be worth more money, man. My fucking hair right now, I haven't had a haircut since I left LA, which was the end of September. So, with the beard, I'm kind of looking like John Wick. But I couldn't kick my own ass. But if I were to shave the beard, I'd probably look kind of like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible 2. That's right, man. But taller. And I can't climb rocks. And I wasn't married to Nicole Kidman. Or the other girl that I can't think of. I can't remember her name right now. My God, Dawson's Creek, and I was on Dawson's Creek. Did you know that? Have I ever talked about I was on Dawson's Creek once? That was fun. What the hell is her name? I want to say Rachel, but I know it's not Rachel because she played Rachel in Batman Begins. Good God, why can't I say her name? Oh my God, Cruz's second wife. Or no, I'm sorry, third wife, because he was also married to Mimi Rogers. Or did they get married or not? Did they? I can't remember anymore. Katie Holmes. Jesus, Wayne. Katie fucking Holmes. I didn't work with her when I was on Dawson's Creek. I saw her one day because when we got done, she was going to be starting to shoot her scenes when we had just finished. I worked with Michelle Williams and Jensen Ackles and Busy Phillips. Busy's so sweet. Not the greatest fan, of her acting. A little doing it mostly. But she was super sweet to us. And I'm not saying that she was, I'm not saying that she did, dirty things. She was very nice and invited us to places, and she was super cool. Treated us little co-stars like you would hope to be treated. Being invited on a big set like that with them peebles. And they did. And she did. Did I ever tell a story about the Michelle Williams thing? I can't remember if I ever told the story about where it was a scene with, a couple of scenes. But the first scene, it's just me and Michelle Williams and Busy and Andrew McGinnis, who had been cast with me as a couple of guys who were, the girls were getting friendly with at a big house party. And we're just hanging out. We're just sitting there on some couches. And most of the dialogue is between Michelle and Busy. And that was the first scene we had. And there was one break where they were resetting everything, and everybody was, all the extras were going back to their places, and everybody was basically just standing around waiting to go again. And it was a dead moment, and I just decided to do a little bit of Rodney Roode, a comedian from Australia. It just popped into my head, and I just looked, and Michelle was sort of directly in front of me, and if I remember correctly, or right to my side or something. And I just kind of leaned forward. I went, "My sister had this friend who had a baby, and when the baby was born with..." I can't even do it. "My sister had this friend who had a baby. When the baby was born without any eyelids." No, wait, that wasn't the one. No, it was the head joke. "My sister had this friend who had a baby. When the baby was born without any arms or legs or a body. It was just a head. But it was a good-looking head." And just from that, and I did it in this really voice, this, "My sister had this friend who had a baby." It was big and like Rodney. And that was, I would get laughs just from doing that, just from spitting that out. I would make friends laugh all the time. Especially Tracy Hogan. All I would have to say is, "My sister had this friend who had a baby." Right there, she's losing it. She already knew the rest. It was the greatest thing. So similar to that, where everybody, the extras, the fucking guy running the DP, the director was actually chuckling. Everybody, Busy's laughing, Andrew's laughing. Everybody's laughing except for Michelle, and she's staring at me like I just pissed in her Cheerios. But not like pissed or anything, just more like, what the fuck? And I made some jokes about that, like, oh, yeah, and she kind of wasn't a bitch or anything. And the next day, there was another moment, very similar, where everything got quiet, but it wasn't, they weren't about to call action or anything. It was just this moment where it was just perfect. Bam, I did it again. And because it was a callback, and it was mainly the same people, it got a pretty big laugh. But there's Michelle looking at me like I just kicked Granny in the face. But Busy invited us, because we shot Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday was our last day. And she asked Andrew and I if the hotel that we were in was the Hilton that we were in, because she knew, because that's where co-stars and guest stars would always stay, apparently. And she said, well, we're going to be at this bar that's 2 blocks away if you guys want to come hang. It was great. We're like, holy shit, that's cool. So we went. And I didn't want to get too drunk because I didn't want to make too much of an ass of myself, because I already felt like an ass a bit. I wasn't sure how my work was, and I could have done a little more. I was so afraid of overacting, I sort of underacted. That's how I see it, how I feel it. So I didn't want to get really hammered and, worsen what I thought might be the perception of me already, which apparently was actually okay. But it gets to this moment to where, at the time, this is before Michelle was with Heath Ledger, and the guy that she was with was a young musician who seemed like he was like he looked like Buddy Holly or Elvis Costello, like a cross between the two, I guess. Nice guy, if I remember. Well, anyway, once again, at this bar, we're in these couches. It's a pretty cool little kind of quiet bar. And it got to a moment and we're all in these little couches, and I'm directly across from Michelle and her boyfriend. And Busy is just to her left, I think, and Andrew's just to my left. And there was a couple other people. And it got to be a perfect moment where it just got quiet just enough where nobody's doing anything. Everything that wasn't going to disturb anybody. And my sister had this friend who had a baby. Everybody starts laughing, including Michelle. She finally chuckled right in front of me and was laughing. I think it was the alcohol, but I got what I wanted. I hit a home run on the 3rd pitch. I had 2 strikes and what? Yeah. I think I don't remember if I told that story before. You would think I would now these hours. I have the acting story, Mondays. Oh, and the other cool part about that story, Andrew. See, I had just moved to Nashville when I got this gig. My agent was in Atlanta, and I had to drive all the way there. And I had auditioned once for another role, which I knew I wasn't going to get because it was a bigger role, and I didn't look old enough because it was a professor role. But I still wanted to do a good job in the audition, so they'd, call me back for another role, and they did. And I got that one, luckily. So I had just come from Florida, where I'd lived in, the Fort Lauderdale area, either Hollywood, for almost 11 years. And I knew some of the Florida area codes, especially from working on the Ron and Ron show and doing the phones and everything. And I knew 407 was Orlando, if I'm correct. I think it's 407. Well, when I get there to Dawson's Creek gig the day before we started shooting for dress, to go through wardrobe, I noticed when I was signing in, Andrew's name was right above mine or below mine, I can't remember. And it had, some of his information. I noticed his phone number was 407. I was like, oh shit, fucker's out of Orlando. Cool. Got something to talk about, Florida. And they said that he wasn't going to be there until the next day because he was shooting something that day. So he'd be there the next day, and I'd meet him basically on the van ride over to set from the hotel, which I did, but we didn't talk too much in the van. But we get to set, and we're in makeup, and with my thing, I had a flavor saver under my bottom lip, and it was the final season of Dawson's Creek, and they had this whole thing where the makeup ladies had to hold on for everything because they had to find out if I had to shave my little flavor saver off because, we don't do facial hair. And I was like, what? I don't really watch the show, but yeah, I guess come to think of it, with all the stuff that I have seen with promos and other stuff, yeah, no, don't really remember any characters with facial hair. But isn't Josh Jackson wearing a goatee this season? Shouldn't be a problem. Anyway, there was just a little bit of a to-do, not that big. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. It's really not a big deal. Oh, no, but we'll check. We don't want to. No, they were cool, the makeup ladies. So during that, that meant Andrew was left alone for a bit. And not left alone, but he couldn't. They wanted to wait and see what they wanted to do with him. Make sure what they wanted to do with him, because they were like, well, let's kill two birds with one stone and then have to go back and ask about his stuff. So we're sitting there, and the lady that was taking care of him asks where he's from. And he says, well, I've been in Orlando for a couple of years, but I'm originally from Maine. And I went, because that's where I'm from. And I went, no fucking way. Where from? I said, Great New Gloucester. Where are you from? And he went, fucking Scarborough. It's like, no shit. We got hired as, I guess, friends. We made it, I made it in my backstory. We'd been buddies for a long time there in college. But to be hired, and at the time, I'm in fucking outside of Nashville, and he's in Orlando, and we get hired, but it turns out we're both from Maine. I thought that was pretty badass. It gave me a little more confidence in getting the gig, because the whole time I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? This is the biggest gig I've ever had. And that made it go, well, maybe, yeah, that kind of makes it seem like it's supposed to be, both of us being from Maine, but from, coming out of different places, it's supposed to be. And then we both sucked, so that's why nobody knows much about Maine. It's all because Andrew and I ruined it. And I'm here to say I'm sorry, but not. Anyway, that's a fun story. Oh, another fun story from that, but I'm not getting to any of the stuff that I wanted to because I'm just babbling about that shit. Son of a bitch. But where this started, the Tom Cruise thing, I didn't finish what I was saying, by the way. I'm like, who this guy thinks he's fucking Tom Cruise? If I shaved the beard with the way my hair is, right now, I would look more, instead of John Wick, it would be just using movie references. Instead of John Wick, I'd look like Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible 2 with a big gut. I've put on almost 25 fucking pounds since leaving Los Angeles. So I think during this quarandemic, I think I'm going to move to smoking meth to lose this 25 pounds. And then I won't have to shop as much for food as well, see? And I'll also finally watch Tiger King. So it'll be like cosplay. I just have to get a cat. The whole thing is mainly about having a gut. I have a big belly, and it's like, what the fuck? I don't think my belly has ever been this big. Maybe it was back when I was a beer drinker, but man, it just gets more and more noticeable. And then I start thinking about being a pre-diabetic. This isn't good. Hey, let me have some of that alcohol with milk while I'm smoking a cigarette. You health nut. So one of the story that I did want to tell, because of I don't remember if I had told this yet, but the Joey Diaz tweeting that Bill Hicks Rodney Dangerfield appearance made me think, hey, did I ever tell the story? Because if you're a whip, you'll probably understand that I'm a huge Bill Hicks fan. And I don't remember what year, I think it was been 2010. And they had a screening of the Bill Hicks story, a documentary done by a couple of guys from the UK who were big fans, and it was in downtown Los Angeles at this film festival. And a girlfriend of mine and I went, and as we're seated and everybody's, everybody else is filing into their seats because we got there pretty early and sat down, I realized that, whoa, I see her coming up the aisle, coming up the side, and I realized, whoa, she's going to be sitting right behind us. It's Bill's mom, Mary. If you don't know Bill, he's been gone for many years, 94. His last appearance on Letterman was edited out. And I believe it was the first time that had ever happened on Letterman. And maybe the only time, if I'm not mistaken, but that might be wrong. But either way, a few years ago, Dave had Mary on to apologize for that, because Bill got even more popular after he passed. Just like Janice, just like Jimmy, just like Jim, and Elvis, and others. But Dave had Mary on to apologize and to actually play Bill's set from that show in, I think it was 98. I think it was towards the end of 93. And it was great, of course. Anyway, so I know who Mary is, and she's obviously in the documentary as well, but I knew who she was already. And I realized she's sitting with Bill's brother Steve and Kevin Booth, among other people, 2 rows directly behind us. So I'm like, oh, fucking A. At the end of this, I got to work up the courage to say hello to Mary Hicks. I have to. I gotta not worry about being a dipshit. Just say hello and just shake her hand if you can. In this time, I'm telling a shaking hand story. How evil, Wayne. Today, I would, of course, stand 7 feet away from her and say, Mary, it's great to meet you. Air fist bump. Anyway, after the screening, and then the Q&A, as soon as that was up or whatever, luckily the row right behind us emptied out real quick, and I turned around and said, Kathy, 1 second. And I stepped into that one thing, and Mary was still there, and I went, Mary, and I stuck my hand out, and I said, it's very nice to meet you. And she looked at me, took my hand, shook my hand, and said, it's nice to see you again. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. That poor woman, that's so sweet to say that. She's obviously, maybe she misheard me, because a lot of people must have said that to her already and still do. She's still kicking. And I thought, but did she just misspeak or think maybe she had met me before? I think a little bit more of the second. I like to think that she saw Bill in my eyes and said, "It's nice to see you again." Silly, but that's how I like to think of it. It's my choice. I obviously know that it's most likely, of course, she just misheard. She might have thought I said again. Or like I said, she meets a lot of people. But in my head, she saw Bill. To burn the fucking flag. A little bit from Sane Man. If you've never seen Sane Man, you can pull it up on YouTube. But anything from Bill. Oh. Obi-Wan Kenobi to me. That's what I say. That's what I call him. And Stanhope doesn't like it. And now it doesn't work because I relate it to Star Wars. Carlin was Yoda, although not quite as funny as Yoda. Bill was Obi-Wan Kenobi. And until they killed off Luke Skywalker, that was Doug Stanhope. To me. I even made a meme about it before The Last Jedi, so it fit when I made it. Doug doesn't like the Hicks comparison stuff, and I understand him. It's just more about they're definitely not alike, only in the fact that the way they factually deconstruct the shit system and brilliantly do it in two totally different ways. But that's more of what it is. It's definitely not like they're alike or whatever. And you know what I can't stand? There's fucking people who still write, they see a Bill Hicks thing online, some asshole, one or two fucking douchebags have to go, Alex Jones. I fucking hate that. That's an insult to Bill. That's such a fucking insult. Because Alex ain't funny. The only time he's funny is when he's on fucking Rogan going crazy and Joe's got to go, whoa, calm down. He's begging fucking Eddie Bravo to knock him out with a fucking choke. Crazy cunt. But that night, not only did I meet Mary, but I also killed the battery in my girlfriend's PF Cruiser, PJ Cruiser, FJ Cruiser, one of those Toyota fucking Jeep looking things that she had. Because I didn't know that her lights were already set, because normally she drove that thing. But that night she said, you go ahead and drive. And I went, okay, cool. I'll drive it. It was fun. But I didn't know that the lights were always automatically on this one setting. I didn't know that. So when we parked, I flicked it to where for them to be off, I thought. Which basically, I screwed it up and made it so they were on. So when we came out, yeah, we was dead. So, but luckily there was still a few people in the parking lot, and somebody gave us a jump, and I still got sex that night. I handled it well. I didn't go nuts, which was funny because normally I would. I was a little pissed off. I remember it myself at first. Like, Wayne, what the fuck? But it was such a great night. I just met Mary Hicks. I was like, hey, man. hey, man, you got any cables, man? And he said, no. And I went, that's cool, I got them. Can you pull up here, man? Because you do have a battery, man. No, they were cool. And that's that story. And speaking of that, because he followed Dice on that clip, was it 2013, I think it was? Maybe 2014, but I think it was 2013. And I lived in Studio City in Los Angeles. And there was this place called the Studio City Frozen Yogurt. And I used to take my daughter there all the time. And one night I was there with a buddy of mine who lived in my building. He's like, man, I'm going to go over and I'm going to take a walk, go do this, do that. You want to come hang? I said, sure. So ends up wanting to get a frozen yogurt. I didn't want one. But we're in line. And in front of us in the line were these two kids, like 15, 16, I guess. And they were at the thing ordering. All of a sudden, as we're talking, next thing you know, I turn my head, and in front of us, all of a sudden, there's this dude in a leather jacket standing there in between us and the two teenagers at the counter. I'm like, what the fuck? And I wasn't in a mood. And I was just about to fucking tap the guy on the shoulder. And he steps forward and he puts his arm on both of the kids' shoulders. He's like, blah, 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 starts talking to him, and they talked back to him like they knew who he was. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. He knows them, all right. And then they go along and pay for their shit, and they leave, and I'm not really paying attention. They just moved along, didn't see any faces really, except for the kids. My buddy gets his shit, and we're still shooting the shit. And then we walk out the front door, and sitting there with those two kids, the guy in the leather jacket, and it's Andrew Dice Clay. I almost tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, motherfucker, what the fuck? Because I was at that time, I remember I was not a happy camper. And my buddy and I were just bouncing. Neither one of us were happy campers, and that's basically at the time what we were using each other for. Fucking pads to fucking just scream at each other, going to get our shit out. Fucking blah blah blah. Yeah, my blah blah blah. Like, okay, and then we'd be like, all right, let's smoke a J, watch Breaking Bad. That's what we would do. Sounding boards. That's what I was trying to say. I almost fucking tapped Dice on the shoulder and went, dude, what the fuck? Oh, my finger was so close. If he'd have turned around, if he'd looked at me and I'd have noticed, of course I would have known who he was. I would have gone, my sister had this friend who had a baby. That wasn't written. That was just a really good callback. Some of you may be seeing it coming. I didn't. I just saw the opportunity like 5 seconds before I said it. Oh, shit. That's why I love, one of the things I love about doing this podcast is because I've always been told with my stand-up and with some theater stuff that I've done, and any kind of performance and radio, everybody always, when they give compliments, it's always about the offhanded shit, the shit that wasn't planned, you know? That's one of the reasons why I just give myself little bullet points and try everything else is not really planned, so it is off the cuff, because evidently that's where all the funny shit is. And yeah, and I don't know, maybe it isn't funny, but I wouldn't put it out if I didn't think it was, oh, okay, if it doesn't make me want to gag. But that was pretty cool. I'm just saying that because that was a good little example of why it's better to just kind of riff, because, and then you find shit. And, oh my God, I didn't even mean to, I I didn't mean to babble about that. And then you find a way to bring things around when you're like, oh shit. And it is a bit easier when you don't have an audience because you're not worried about the other sound to judge things of what you're saying, and it keeps you drier, more British. Because you're not going to hear that laugh, so I don't know, it's just a different thing. You know? I know too. I think I know, but probably not. Album of the week. Girl. Sheer Greed, 1980. And what's kind of, did you hear that little girl? I apologize. I apologize, not just apologize. I apologize. One of the cool things about Girl, Sheer Greed, from 1980, two of the band members, the singer was Phil Lewis from LA Guns, if you're an LA Guns fan. Tracy Guns, you know, where Guns N' Roses came from, because Axl and Tracy, and you know the story probably. I'm not getting into that. Also in that band playing guitar, Phil Collen, pre-Def Leppard. Now this is 1980, and one of the songs on the album is called Hollywood Tease. And the cool thing about Hollywood Tease is, because Phil was the singer now of LA Guns, they went and covered that. And that song, a different version, is on the LA Guns album, their debut. And they're both cool, both versions. But you got one version with Phil Collen from Def Leppard playing those riffs. And then you got the other one with Tracy Guns. It's kind of neat to go back and forth. And those two wrote that song. And the other cool thing about the album is most of the songs are under 3 minutes. I think all of them but 3, maybe 4, but I think it's all of them but 3 songs are under 3 minutes. Which is very punk. But it's 1980. So it was like that punk, rock. It was New York Dolls. I don't know, it's cool. I love that kind of fucking trivia shit, and LA Guns being one of my favorite bands because they didn't get too huge, and I saw them a few times, and I really, really dug that first album, and I really dug the second album, Cocked and Loaded. Hollywood Vampires was pretty good too, but that first album, especially the videos, one of the things about that is the feel of those videos went right along with exactly. I didn't dress that way, of course, not as much like them, but right before I moved to Florida, the area in Maine was very similar to had that feel from some of the videos from that first album. Kind of weird. It really fits. So it's that kind of, you got that music that brings you back. It brings me back. And of course they still, even though they were more like a sleaze rock, still had a lot of punk in them, which of course Guns N' Roses did as well. But anyway, album of the week, Girl, Sheer Greed, 1980. I cannot remember the record label, but it doesn't fucking matter now. It's 2020. You can pull it up on YouTube. And Hollywood Tease, like I said, it's a fun fucking song, and it does, seeing how I lived there for a bit, it's got even more of a flavor for me than it did when I was a kid, when I didn't live there. But watch Redacted tonight, the Colbert Report, the Corbett Report, not the Colbert Report. Jimmy Dore Show, Kim Iverson, blah, 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 for yourself. I'm just here to be a fun, babbling lecturer. Remember, we're all Neo, a.k.a. 1. Sorry, ran long, had to bump comedian Louis C.K. Thanks, Gary. Daddy loves you.